PB Max doesn't mean penguin blackbelt.
Butterfinger BB!
Reggie, it's everybody's kind of candy bar.
From glow-in-the-dark drinks to bizarre snack experiments, not every food trend makes it past the first bite. Why did these innovations crash and burn so quickly? And which ones still leave people shaking their heads today? Let's uncover 50 innovative foods that failed miserably. Long before pizza-flavored snacks became mainstream, General Mills introduced pizza spins in the early 1970s as a bold, baked chip shaped like a pinwheel and flavored to mimic pizza. They promised a cheesy, tomatoey burst with every crunchy bite, combining kid-friendly fun with the beloved flavor of America's favorite comfort food.
They gave it a taste no human could resist. Pizza. They took this pizza taste and turned it into a crunchy, munchy, mouth-sized snack.
However, the execution fell flat. The flavor was more artificial than appetizing, and consumers found the texture dry and the aftertaste odd. Compounding the issue, pizza spins were poorly marketed and failed to stand out on shelves crowded with better-tasting, longer-lasting competitors, such as Doritos. By the mid-1970s, General Mills quietly pulled the plug. Despite a short-lived cult following, pizza spins remain a footnote in the history of failed food innovations. In an era hungry for innovation, Kraft launched Kugel in 1971, a line of flavored peanut butters in varieties like chocolate, cinnamon, vanilla, and banana. Targeted primarily at kids, Kugel even came with its groovy mascot, a googly-eyed cartoon face that Kugeled around TV screens. While the idea of dessert-inspired peanut spreads initially excited curious families, the product soon encountered issues.
Crackers or almost anything. And it doesn't make my mouth stick together. And it doesn't make my mouth stick together. You love Kugel, the crappy...
Consumers found the flavor combinations odd and overly artificial, especially for a staple like peanut butter. Sales didn't meet Kraft's expectations, and by the late 1970s, Kugel was discontinued. The concept was simply ahead of its time, or perhaps too strange for it, leaving behind only hazy memories and vintage commercial clips as proof of its fleeting existence. In the early 1980s, Aids Diet Candy was marketed as a popular appetite suppressant, promising rapid weight loss through a candy-like formula. Initially successful due to its novelty and taste, the product's reputation took a devastating hit during the AIDS epidemic when the name AIDS became tragically associated with the disease. Despite the product being unrelated, the unfortunate name similarity caused a sharp decline in sales and public perception.
And you'd rather look as slim as this. Try the AIDS Reducing Plan. Delicious tasting AIDS candy contains vitamins and minerals.
Attempts to rebrand failed, and it eventually vanished from the market. The AIDS story is a rare example of a product's downfall driven largely by external societal factors rather than product quality or marketing strategy. AIDS Diet. Candy promised weight loss, but could Sizzlian's fake bacon satisfy breakfast cravings or disappoint? Vanilla-flavored cereals are a rare sight, but in the 1970s, the Quaker Oats Company introduced Vanilli Crunch, a distinctive addition to the Cap'n Crunch family, joining the ranks of Crunch Berries and Peanut Butter Crunch. The cereal's backstory was playfully told on the box, featuring Sea Dog, a lovable character who accidentally created the cereal by spilling cake batter into a bowl of Cap'n Crunch.
That's high-quality bag.
TV commercials described it as crispy, creamy-colored globes of goodness, emphasizing its unique vanilla flavor and added nutrients such as vitamin B and iron. With a taste often compared to crunchy birthday cake, Vanilli Crunch left a lasting impression on fans. Though discontinued in 1975, nostalgic cereal lovers still fondly recall its sweet, one-of-a-kind flavor. Launched in 1982 by Royal Crown, RC Cola, like Cola, was an ambitious attempt to tap into the growing health-conscious market by offering a low-caffeine alternative to regular sodas. Marketed with the tagline, "Made from the cola nut, not from chemicals," it positioned itself as a natural, better-for-you cola option. Packaged in distinctive red and black cans, like cola contained only 1/3 the caffeine of traditional colas.
Here's Like Cola, the caffeine-free cola from 7-Up, the company famous for making great-tasting soft drinks with no caffeine.
Targeting those who wanted the cola flavor without the jitters. However, it quickly became clear that the market wasn't asking for less caffeine. It wanted better taste. The flavor was often described as weak or flat, and with little consumer demand, Like Cola quietly disappeared from shelves, becoming just another forgotten experiment of the early 1980s soda wars. Before Kool-Aid reigned supreme, Pillsbury's Funny Face drink mix was a promising contender in the powdered beverage market. Launched in the 1960s and continuing into the 1970s, Funny Face came in quirky flavors with names like Goofy Grape and Freckle Face Strawberry, paired with cartoonish mascots.
The name? Goofy Grape. But why they call me Goofy, I don't know. Yes, sir. I'm one of the new Funny Face drinks from Pillsbury.
Initially, kids loved the packaging and fun branding. However, trouble brewed when some character names were deemed racially insensitive, sparking controversy and eventual rebranding. Moreover, Funny Face contained cyclamates, an artificial sweetener later banned by the FDA in 1969, forcing a reformulation that altered the taste. As Kool-Aid soared with its strong marketing and bolder flavors, Funny Face fizzled out by the late 70s, remembered more for its imagery than its drinkability. Chef Boyardee launched the spaghetti dinner in 1986, targeting convenience-seeking families with a ready-to-eat canned pasta meal. This product aimed to deliver classic Italian flavors in a quick and affordable package. However, the spaghetti dinner faced criticism for its overly mushy noodles, bland sauce, and artificial taste. Consumers often found the texture unappealing, and the flavor lacked the authenticity expected from Italian cuisine.
I discovered a way to perk up simple meatloaf. Chef Boyardee's spaghetti dinner is a side dish. It has everything you need, and because you make it fresh...
Additionally, the canned nature raised questions about freshness and quality. Despite strong brand recognition, the product failed to sustain sales amid rising competition from frozen and fresh pasta alternatives. By the early 1990s, Chef Boyardee phased out the spaghetti dinner, highlighting the risks of compromising quality for convenience. Introduced in 1980 by Royal Crown, RC100 was one of the first caffeine-free colas aimed at a growing market of health-conscious consumers. At a time when caffeine content in soft drinks was beginning to draw scrutiny, RC100 hoped to offer the classic cola experience without the stimulant. It was packaged to resemble RC Cola, but featured prominent 100% caffeine-free branding. Unfortunately, while innovative in concept, the execution fell flat, literally. Many consumers found its flavor dull.
Will you be in high spirits? Will you still love to travel the world? RC Cola, American taste since 1905.
Lacking the boldness of its caffeinated counterparts. It also struggled to compete with Coke and Pepsi's own caffeine-free versions released soon after. With little fanfare and poor sales, RC100 quickly vanished from store shelves and from memory, leaving behind little more than a trivia footnote. Few 1970s food items embodied the era's obsession with convenience and novelty more than Snackmate cheese in a can. Produced by Kraft, this aerosol-style cheese spread offered the thrill of spraying processed cheese directly onto crackers.
What am I getting myself into? Anyways, here we go, guys. A full can of easy cheese, cheddar,
celery sticks, or even fingers. It was fun for kids, easy for parents, and an undeniable conversation starter at parties. However, beneath the gimmick was a growing consumer concern: artificial ingredients, preservatives, and questionable nutrition. As health consciousness began rising later in the decade, public perception of canned cheese shifted from quirky to unwholesome. Furthermore, its flavor was often described as overly salty or plasticky. Although versions still exist today, the original Snackmate boom quickly deflated, leaving behind a legacy of over-processed innovation that is now largely regarded as cheesy. In 1984, Spam and pineapple combo packs attempted to blend savory canned meat with tropical sweetness, capitalizing on Hawaiian-inspired flavors gaining popularity in the U.S. The combo pack included pre-sliced Spam alongside canned pineapple chunks for quick meal preparation. However, many consumers found the pairing unappetizing and unnatural, with the sweetness overpowering the salty, processed meat. The canned packaging gave little room for freshness, and the combo's novelty wore off quickly.
And I'll be eating at all sorts of restaurants, the expensive, the not so expensive, and those spots where you can get a real bargain meal. And I'll be checking out breakfast places. And
additionally, Spam's existing reputation as a low-quality meat product made it difficult to reposition successfully. By the late 1980s, these combo packs vanished from most markets, serving as an example of a flavor fusion that failed to resonate widely. Spam and pineapple paired for a tropical twist. Was Watergate salad a retro favorite or a questionable dessert? One of the strangest culinary misfires of the 1970s was celery-flavored Jell-O, part of Jell-O's savory line meant for salads and meat molds. Introduced as a complement to the mid-century obsession with gelatin-based dishes, this pale green concoction was supposed to pair well with vegetables, meats, and mayonnaise in aspic-style presentations. Unfortunately, the flavor was aggressively vegetal and oddly bitter, making it unpalatable to most consumers.
I've done this with Jell-O products from the 50s. They half make.
Even adventurous home cooks found it difficult to incorporate into edible recipes. The Jell-O brand quickly realized that the savory gelatin craze was dying with the times. By the mid-1970s, celery Jell-O was pulled from shelves, joining other bizarre flavors like Italian salad and mixed vegetable in the vault of forgettable food flops. Not in the mood for green gelatin? Could a square-shaped breakfast bar save the morning? Aspic molds featuring meat, vegetables, or seafood suspended in savory gelatin enjoyed a fleeting resurgence in the 1980s as a trendy party centerpiece. The visually impressive, often colorful molds promised elegance and convenience. However, many guests found the texture unpleasant, slimy and rubbery.
Jellied meat is served cold. It goes well with hot side dishes, especially mashed potatoes.
And the flavor combinations awkward or artificial. Additionally, aspics required precise preparation and refrigeration, limiting their practicality. As culinary tastes shifted to fresher, lighter fare, aspic molds became synonymous with outdated and kitschy food presentations. Despite their innovative attempt to impress with artistry and novelty, aspic molds failed to maintain popularity beyond the decade, serving as a cautionary tale about style over substance in food trends. The 1970s saw a surge in prepackaged convenience foods, but canned hamburgers were a bridge too far. Designed for campers, military personnel, and novelty seekers, these fully cooked burgers came sealed in metal cans, complete with bun, patty, and all the fixings. Companies like Trek or generic survival food brands offered them as just heat and eat solutions.
And I mixed some beef stock and turkey bone broth I had.
But the texture was rubbery, the bread was soggy, and the meat tasted more like mystery meat than beef. The presentation was unappetizing, and the idea of canned bread alone turned many stomachs. Unsurprisingly, the product never reached mainstream shelves and mostly survived as a fringe curiosity before vanishing entirely by the late 70s. Its failure proved that not everything needs to come with a pop-top lid. Launched in 1988, Frodo Dinner Mix Salads attempted to blend packaged salad ingredients with pre-cooked dinner items, aiming to offer quick, complete meals in a single container. The product included salad greens, dressings, and protein bits like chicken or tuna. Despite the convenience appeal, Frodo salads suffered from inconsistent ingredient quality. Wilted greens, soggy proteins, and watery dressings were common complaints.
Pepper, or you can leave them out if you like, or change them into seasonings of your choice. So here's a little salt and pepper.
Consumers also found the flavor combinations odd and the texture unbalanced. Packaging design was bulky, limiting shelf life and storage ease. As fresh salad bars and meal kits gained popularity, Frodo mixes quickly lost favor. Their failure emphasized how innovation in ready meals must prioritize freshness and taste alongside convenience. During an era when breakfast cereals were as much about fun as nutrition, Waffle-O's carved out a unique place in 1970s morning routines. Its Western-themed TV ads, complete with the unforgettable jingle, "Get along, little blueberry critters, get along," made a lasting impression on young audiences. While it built a loyal fan base thanks to its bold maple syrup flavor and waffle-shaped crunch, Waffle-O's had its drawbacks. The cereal's unusual texture, crispy in the middle, soggy on the outside, and oddly tough at the core, could be rough on the mouths of eager kids, especially when eaten dry.
So I assume it was artificial flavoring that made them taste like waffles. Now this cereal was discontinued in 1982 when I was only 2 years old, so I never got to try it. I guess I could try a piece right now, but we all...
Still, for many, the distinct taste and nostalgic charm outweighed the bite. Introduced in 1984, Fruit Wrinkles aimed to offer a healthier alternative to traditional fruit snacks by delivering dried fruit pieces coated with sugar. Marketed towards children and parents seeking a convenient snack, Fruit Wrinkles promised natural fruit flavor with added sweetness. However, the product's overly sugary coating negated its health appeal, confusing consumers. The texture was often too tough and chewy, making it unappealing to many kids.
They put lots of real fruit and fun in Fruit Roll-Ups and Fruit Wrinkles, so I don't mind sharing.
Additionally, competition from more flavorful and visually appealing fruit snacks overshadowed Fruit Wrinkles. Despite initial curiosity, the product struggled to maintain shelf space and consumer loyalty. By the late 80s, Fruit Wrinkles quietly disappeared, remembered as a failed attempt to blend convenience with health-conscious snacking. Introduced in 1970, Jell-O 1-2-3 was a layered gelatin dessert designed to separate into 3 distinct textures: a creamy top, a mousse-like middle, and a firm gelatin base. This novel product captivated consumers with its visual appeal and variety of textures. However, the preparation was complicated, requiring careful timing and specific refrigeration conditions to achieve the layers. Many home cooks found it challenging to consistently replicate the advertised results. Furthermore, the product's artificial flavors and colors began to fall out of favor as the decade progressed, and health concerns mounted. Sales declined by the late 1970s, and production ceased. Jell-O 1-2-3 remains a nostalgic symbol of the era's fascination with convenience meets novelty. In an ambitious attempt to modernize its iconic formula, Coca-Cola introduced New Coke with a sweeter, smoother taste. Marketed as a bold evolution of the original, it quickly became one of the most infamous product missteps in history. Consumers across the U.S. reacted with outrage, organizing protests, hoarding the original version.
We're bringing back the classic original formula as Coca-Cola Classic.
The return of Coca-Cola Classic showed the company had learned an important marketing lesson.
And flooding the company with complaints. The backlash was so intense that within just 79 days, Coca-Cola was forced to bring back the original formula under the name Coca-Cola Classic. New Coke lingered on shelves for a few years under the name Coke 2, but the damage was done. The debacle became a textbook example of how not to tamper with a beloved brand. The 1970s fondue craze swept through American households, spurred by Swiss culinary influence and the rise of social dining trends. Supermarkets eagerly stocked fondue sets, complete with pots, forks, and dipping ingredients like cheese, chocolate, and broth. However, while popular initially, the fad quickly fizzled. Many consumers found the process cumbersome, requiring special equipment, constant heating, and messy preparation. Additionally, fondue parties were niche events, limiting the repeat use of the sets. Over time, supermarkets realized the limited shelf life and low turnover of such bulky, seasonal items. By the late 1970s, fondue sets had moved from staple aisles to occasional displays and then largely disappeared. This rise and fall epitomize how food fads can burn bright but briefly when practicality is ignored. Oreo Big Stuff, introduced in 1986, was a giant-sized version of the classic Oreo cookie, aimed at snackers craving a larger treat. The cookie featured oversized chocolate wafers and extra creamy filling, promising indulgence and shareability. Despite its bold concept, Big Stuff failed because the large size made the cookie difficult and messy to eat. Many consumers found the texture overly dense and the sweetness overwhelming in such a large portion.
看飞机！哦哟，别走啦！
扭一扭，舔一舔，泡一泡。
It was also expensive compared to standard Oreos, deterring repeat purchases. Production ceased by the late 1980s, though the cookie retains a cult following among 80s nostalgia fans. Big Stuff's failure underlines how bigger isn't always better in snack foods. The 1970s saw a boom in convenience foods, with Betty Crocker at the forefront of this trend. In 1976, the company launched Muggo Lunch, a range of quick and easy pasta meals designed for busy consumers. These products came in simple packets to which you just added boiling water, making them ready in just 5 minutes. The line featured 3 popular flavors:
4 minutes, stir and eat. Spaghetti and rich tomato sauce. Creamy macaroni and cheese. Hearty beef noodles. Also delicious, it is
macaroni and cheese, spaghetti and sauce, and beef noodles and gravy. Muggo Lunch capitalized on the growing demand for fast, hassle-free meals at home or in the office. Despite its initial success and appeal, the product struggled to maintain market share amid increasing competition and changing consumer preferences. As a result, Betty Crocker discontinued Muggo Lunch by 1981, bringing its brief run to an end. Cheese Whiz-topped hot dogs, launched in 1986, were intended to add creamy, cheesy indulgence to a classic American snack. The product featured pre-sliced hot dogs topped with a generous layer of processed Cheese Whiz, targeting consumers wanting easy, flavorful meals. However, many found the combination overly greasy and artificial tasting, as the processed cheese clashed with the hot dog's texture and flavor. The product was also high in fat and calories, deterring health-conscious buyers.
Fusion dogs, and they got the best ones on deck. A few of the heavy hitters are the Angry Dog with a spicy pork bulgogi and spicy aioli, jalapenos delicious.
Packaging did not keep the cheese fresh, leading to spoilage complaints. Ultimately, Cheese Whiz-topped hot dogs failed to gain traction and disappeared from supermarket shelves by the late 1980s, remembered as a misguided culinary mashup. Bambeanos was a snack created by Colgate-Palmolive, featuring roasted and flavored whole soybeans. Launched in 1975, it was discontinued by May 1976 due to its notorious side effect of causing excessive flatulence.
Alright, all 7 of these paninis each came with a side item. I could have gotten either a bag of chips.
Despite initial hopes, the product quickly developed a bad reputation, resulting in poor sales with fewer than 25,000 cases sold. Colgate-Palmolive invested approximately $750,000 in developing and marketing Bambeanos before pulling it from the market. Following its withdrawal, a legal dispute arose with the roasting contractor, United Roasters, which was awarded $571,000 by a jury. Bambeanos remains a cautionary tale in the snack industry, highlighting the risks of introducing novel products without fully anticipating consumer reactions. In 1985, the gelatin turkey loaf attempted to reinvent meat dishes by suspending cooked turkey pieces in savory gelatin molds. Designed as a cold, easy-to-serve entree for parties and buffets, it fit the era's fascination with gelatin-based foods. Despite this, the dish was widely criticized for its unappetizing appearance and off-putting texture. The gelatin coating dulled the natural flavor of the turkey, creating a rubbery mouthfeel that many found unpleasant.
Tamarind,
and then it's aged for a few months before it's strained in bottles, and that's why it has such a punch.
Yeah, you get a lot of bang for your buck.
Yep.
We'll let this reduce down for a minute just to concentrate those yummy flavors.
The concept also evoked associations with outdated aspic dishes, which had largely fallen out of favor. As tastes moved toward fresher, hotter meals, gelatin meat loaves disappeared from mainstream dining, becoming a symbol of 80s culinary excess gone wrong. Gelatin turkey loaf combined meat and dessert. Did aspic molds continue the trend or turn appetites away? Born from the space-age craze, space food sticks were introduced in the early 1970s by Pillsbury as a futuristic snack inspired by NASA's space rations. These chewy, rod-shaped nutritional sticks came in flavors like peanut butter, caramel, and chocolate, and were marketed as energy food for the modern adventurer. Although NASA used an early prototype in space,
for this effort, Pillsbury has developed many special foods. Here is the first one to be made available to the public: Space Food Sticks. To meet the demands of a long space flight,
the mass-market version failed to captivate long-term consumer interest. The taste and texture, described as bland and rubbery, left much to be desired. As the novelty of space-themed products wore off and health trends evolved, consumers turned to more natural snack options. By the early 1980s, space food sticks quietly vanished from store shelves, becoming a relic of both 1970s gimmick marketing and astronaut nostalgia. In one of the most bizarre product misfires of the 1980s, tobacco giant R.J. Reynolds attempted to diversify by introducing a candy designed to look and feel like a cigarette. This smokeless, nicotine-free candy stick was meant for adults trying to quit smoking, but its resemblance to actual cigarettes raised immediate alarm. Critics slammed it for potentially glamorizing smoking to children.
Arrows can be used in any no-smoking area, anytime, anywhere you want, without restriction.
While adult consumers found it awkward, unappealing, and downright confusing. Health advocates, parents, and politicians condemned the idea as tone-deaf and dangerous, sparking swift backlash. Amid mounting pressure and negative publicity, the product was quickly pulled from shelves. It remains a cautionary tale of how brand image and social awareness can make or break innovation. Few food flops from the 1970s are as notorious as Gerber singles, Gerber's baffling attempt to sell pureed baby food to single adults. Launched in 1974, the line featured jarred meals like beef burgundy, peas, and chicken a la king, all in smooth, mushy textures. Intended for young professionals or college students needing quick, no-cook meals,
Hi, Brian. You got a smile for Daddy?
the product was roundly mocked. Adults found the texture infantilizing and the packaging, identical to baby food jars, deeply unappetizing. The flavors also failed to deliver. Blandness and lack of visual appeal killed any novelty it might have had. Gerber Singles was pulled from shelves within a year, serving as a legendary example of how poorly targeted marketing and misjudged consumer psychology can doom even a well-known brand. In 1983, Dr. Pepper Gum aimed to capitalize on the soda's popularity by offering a chewing gum flavored like the iconic soft drink. The novelty of soda-flavored gum generated initial curiosity, targeting consumers who loved Dr. Pepper's unique taste. However, the gum failed to deliver an authentic soda flavor and left an artificial aftertaste that many found unpleasant. Its limited flavor longevity and lack of satisfying texture,
and the lady that when I checked out said they can't get this stuff on the shelves. People were buying it right and left, so I bought it just because I do remember.
Further dampened enthusiasm. Moreover, soda-flavored gum was a niche concept that didn't resonate broadly with gum buyers. As a result, Dr. Pepper Gum disappeared quickly from store shelves, becoming a quirky footnote in the era's attempts to blend beverages with confectionery. Dr. Pepper Gum brought soda to your mouth, but were Fruit Wrinkles fruit leather snacks a tasty treat or a miss? The Reggie Bar was launched in 1978 by Curtis Candy Company, a division of Nabisco, to celebrate New York Yankees slugger Reggie Jackson. Shaped like a hockey puck, it featured a mix of peanuts, caramel, and milk chocolate, similar to a flattened Snickers. The Reggie bar was famously handed out at Yankee Stadium on Reggie's opening day, where fans threw them onto the field in celebration, creating a memorable spectacle.
Reggie Jackson. An outstanding World Series, 3 home runs in 1 game.
Despite the hype, the novelty wore off quickly. Consumers found it overly sweet and lacking uniqueness, and it failed to establish a long-term identity beyond the celebrity tie-in. By the early 1980s, the Reggie bar was discontinued. While it briefly returned in the 1990s, it never regained its original buzz or commercial success. In 1984, Crystal Light attempted to expand from powdered drink mixes into ready-to-drink soft beverages. The goal was to capture health-conscious consumers seeking low-calorie, flavored soda alternatives. However, Crystal Light soft drinks failed due to a combination of artificial taste, lackluster carbonation, and poor marketing.
Industry that's related to this, the soft drink or the soda industry, if the product can reasonably be associated.
Consumers expected a refreshing soda experience, but instead found a bland, diet-flavored drink that didn't satisfy cravings. The brand's strong association with powdered mixes also created confusion about the product's identity. Facing stiff competition from established diet soda brands, Crystal Light soft drinks were pulled from shelves within a few years. The failure highlighted challenges in brand extension and meeting consumer expectations in the competitive beverage industry. Brought to life by the Sunshine Biscuit Company, Fudgetown cookies were a beloved snack in the 1960s and early 1970s, featuring a shortbread-like cookie exterior filled with creamy fudge centers. With their playful name and sweet core, they earned a nostalgic place in many childhood lunchboxes.
Fudge. Fudge. Wonderful fudge. Loads of fudge in Fudgetown. Fudgetown, the cookie that's so full of fudge it pops out of the top.
However, as the snack food market exploded with new, flashier cookie options, such as Chips Ahoy, Oreo Twists, and even Little Debbie treats, Fudgetown began to feel old-fashioned. Additionally, production costs and corporate acquisitions led Sunshine to scale back its product line. By the mid-1970s, Fudgetown was discontinued without much fanfare. Despite its quiet exit, the cookie still holds cult nostalgia, proving how even well-liked foods can vanish if they don't keep up with evolving consumer tastes. Introduced in 1987, High C Ecto Cooler was a vibrant green citrus drink themed around the popular Ghostbusters franchise. Aimed at kids, it combined branding with a tangy, sweet flavor intended to stand out on shelves. The product enjoyed initial success due to the movie's popularity, but struggled once the Ghostbusters craze waned. Some consumers found the flavor overly artificial.
Those coming out of the Ghostbusters Afterlife New York City premiere, they had people lighting these bottles up with their cell phone lights. I'm assuming High C, Coca-Cola, they asked people to do.
And the neon green color was off-putting to certain buyers. Additionally, changes in consumer preferences toward healthier beverages reduced its appeal. Although discontinued in the early 2000s, Ecto Cooler remains a nostalgic favorite for many, illustrating how tie-in marketing can drive but also limit product longevity. In 1976, Tangy Taffy was introduced as a bold twist on traditional taffy candy, promising a sour, tangy flavor that would excite young consumers. Manufactured by General Foods, this product aimed to combine the chewy texture of taffy with a zesty punch.
It says, Laffy for me, taffy for you. On the back of it. It's made by Nestle.
Hoping to carve out a niche in the competitive candy market of the 1970s. However, Tangy Taffy failed to resonate with customers, who found its sourness overwhelming and the flavor profile too unusual compared to the familiar sweet taffy taste. Additionally, the texture was criticized for being sticky and difficult to chew. Despite aggressive marketing campaigns targeting kids and teenagers, Tangy Taffy was discontinued within a year due to poor sales and negative consumer feedback, making it one of the notable candy flops of the decade. In an effort to ride the frozen beverage trend, Minute Maid launched its Orange Slush in 1985, a semi-frozen, slushy-style drink meant to deliver the classic orange flavor in a fun, new texture. Sold primarily through vending machines and convenience stores, it was positioned as a refreshing alternative to sodas or juice boxes. However, the slush machines often malfunctioned, leaving a watery mess or rock-solid ice, frustrating both vendors and customers. The inconsistent texture and overly sweet taste didn't help either.
Orangeade slushie from McDonald's, the very last of their series that they have. Again, $2 for this big guy.
Despite the recognizable brand and initial curiosity, the product failed to gain traction. By the late 80s, Minute Maid quietly discontinued the Orange Slush, marking it as another short-lived experiment that melted under its own promise. Fizzies fizzled fast despite a promising start. These effervescent drink tablets were like Alka-Seltzer for kids. Plop one into water and voila, you had a fizzy soda-flavored beverage. Initially launched in the late 1950s, Fizzies reached their peak popularity in the 1960s and remained popular into the 1970s.
Signal the bubbles of extra stank Alka-Seltzer. Sounds like Rip Taylor, but here we go.
They were fun, portable, and came in flavors like grape, cherry, and orange. However, changes in FDA regulations on artificial sweeteners in the early 1970s forced a reformulation that killed the taste appeal. Parents grew concerned about additives, and kids just didn't enjoy the new, blander versions. Sales plummeted, and the product was discontinued shortly after. Despite nostalgic comebacks over the years, Fizzies could never recapture the magic of their original sparkle. The 1982 launch of Lime Jello and Cottage Cheese dessert aimed to blend tangy gelatin with creamy cottage cheese, offering a supposedly refreshing and protein-packed treat. This concoction was marketed to health-conscious consumers looking for lighter dessert options. However, the unusual combination of sweet, tart lime gelatin with the mild, lumpy texture of cottage cheese proved off-putting to many. The contrasting flavors and textures confused palates, making the dessert unappetizing. Furthermore, its artificial lime taste and artificial sweeteners detracted from any sense of freshness. The product's short shelf life and lack of consumer enthusiasm led to its rapid disappearance from store shelves. It is now remembered as a mismatched flavor experiment, typical of early 80s innovation. In the 1970s, General Mills sought to revolutionize mornings with its short-lived Breakfast Squares product. These dense, cake-like bars were designed as a quick, nutritious alternative to traditional breakfasts, targeting busy adults and teens on the go.
Our Quaker Breakfast Squares are made with apple and strawberry purees, creamy peanut filling, our hearty Quaker oats.
They came in flavors like chocolate and cinnamon and were fortified with vitamins to make them appear healthy. However, despite aggressive advertising, the product failed to catch on. Consumers complained about the dry texture, bland taste, and questionable freshness. Worse, it didn't feel like a real breakfast, leaving many unsatisfied. As healthier options and cereal bars emerged later in the decade, breakfast squares quickly became obsolete. General Mills quietly discontinued them, and the idea was shelved until granola bars rose in the 80s. The 1984 launch of Nut Loaf targeted the growing vegetarian market by offering a meatless alternative to traditional meatloaf made primarily from nuts, grains, and legumes. Positioned as a healthy, protein-rich entree, Nut Loaf attempted to appeal to both vegetarians and those seeking healthier diets. However, its dense, dry texture and heavy nutty flavor failed to satisfy consumers expecting a familiar meatloaf experience. Many found it bland and difficult to prepare appealingly.
The room is filling with the aroma of lemon. We've got the chestnuts in there, the cranberries, the mixed nuts, flavors of thyme and rosemary and nutmeg. This is
lacking the savory richness of its meaty counterpart. Additionally, limited distribution and marketing meant Nut Loaf struggled to reach a wider audience. Though innovative for its time, the product's failure illustrated early challenges in mainstreaming vegetarian convenience foods. The Planters Jumbo Block was a chunky peanut candy bar introduced in the 1970s, featuring dense layers of roasted peanuts held together by a sweet, nougat-like base and enrobed in chocolate. Marketed under the well-known Planters brand, it was packaged in a bold, bright wrapper with Mr. Peanut prominently displayed, aiming to attract fans of hearty, nut-heavy treats. Despite Planters' strong reputation for peanuts, the Jumbo Block failed to gain lasting traction. Consumers often found it too dense and overly sweet.
Now that I'm seeing it, but that's just how they were. So, you want to try mine first?
Sure. Struggling to stand out in a crowded candy bar market dominated by Snickers and Baby Ruth. By the early 1980s, the Jumbo Block quietly disappeared from shelves, becoming a nostalgic oddity remembered mainly by 1970s candy enthusiasts and collectors. Sizzlian gained popularity in the early 1980s as a breakfast meat marketed as a healthier alternative to traditional bacon. Created by Swift, it was a blend of pork and beef.
Oh, there's something meatier. Delicious sizzling. Fake bacon? Mom's sizzling is real meat.
Designed to cook faster and produce less grease, appealing to health-conscious consumers of the era. For a brief time, Sizzlian found success among those looking to cut fat without giving up bacon entirely. However, its processed texture and lack of authentic smoky flavor soon drew criticism. Many found it failed to replicate the satisfying crunch and taste of real bacon. As trends shifted and healthier options improved, sales declined. By the late 1980s, Sizzlian was discontinued, remembered as a short-lived hit that couldn't hold its sizzle. While TV dinners had already become popular by the 1950s, the 1970s saw an attempt to revolutionize them with foil trays designed for better heating and convenience. These trays promised even cooking and easy disposal, appealing to busy families. However, the foil trays often caused uneven heating in some microwaves, leading to soggy or overcooked meals. Additionally, concerns about aluminum leaching into food began to surface, sparking consumer anxiety. The lightweight packaging was also prone to damage during shipping and storage.
That changed when Quaker State Foods entered the scene that year. They revolutionized the game by introducing lightweight aluminum trays with a thin aluminum lid,
which reduced its shelf life. By the late 1970s, many brands had shifted back to safer and more reliable packaging materials. Although innovative in intent, foil tray TV dinners failed to meet durability and safety expectations, which limited their success. McDonald's introduced the McDELT in 1985, a burger designed with a unique packaging concept. Hot ingredients on one side and cold ingredients on the other, separated by a foam container to maintain optimal temperatures. The McDLT promised a fresh eating experience with crispy lettuce and cool tomato intact until the last bite. While innovative, the foam packaging was environmentally unfriendly, attracting criticism during growing ecological awareness.
What do I give the McDonald's McDLT? It's fresh. I love the cheese aspect being cold, right on top of a hot burger pan.
Additionally, the awkward packaging was inconvenient and bulky for customers on the go. The concept faded by the early 1990s as McDonald's shifted to more sustainable packaging and simpler burger designs. Despite its short life, the McDLT remains a nostalgic reminder of 80s fast food creativity. McDLT kept hot and cold apart. Could Crystal Light soft drinks lighten drink choices or fall flat? Launched by Coca-Cola in 1963, Tab Cola was the first diet soda specifically designed for women, gaining significant popularity in the 1970s. Despite its pioneering role, Tab Cola struggled with taste issues. Many described it as bitter or metallic due to the artificial sweetener saccharin. As diet soda options expanded and consumer preferences shifted, Tab's unique flavor became a liability. Moreover, the rise of competitors like Diet Coke in the early 1980s overshadowed Tab's market share. Health concerns about saccharin also dampened enthusiasm. By the late 1970s, Tab was losing ground despite its cult following. Although it lingered for decades, Tab Cola's failure to adapt ultimately relegated it to a nostalgic relic rather than a mainstream success. Pudding Pops debuted in 1982 as a frozen dessert blending creamy pudding and icy popsicles, aiming to offer a richer alternative to traditional ice pops. Marketed by Jell-O, the product targeted children and adults seeking indulgent yet refreshing treats. Despite an initially successful launch and endorsement by celebrities like Bill Cosby, Pudding Pops failed due to their high sugar content and inconsistent texture. The pops often melted too quickly.
You know that this is made with real pudding. New, rich, creamy-tasting Jell-O brand Pudding Pops. All the goodness of real Jell-O pudding frozen on a stick. Taste.
And lacked the crispness consumers expected from frozen treats. Additionally, competition from other frozen desserts like ice cream and sorbet overshadowed Pudding Pops. Production ceased in the late 1980s, with the product remembered as a tasty but ultimately impractical innovation. In the 1970s, Nabisco sought to rival the popular Pop-Tarts with Toastettes, toaster pastries filled with fruit jam and coated with a sugary glaze. Marketed as a quick breakfast or snack, Toastettes promised a crispy outside and a sweet, gooey center. Despite the appealing concept, they never managed to capture the market.
There we go. So I have to say that the pastry feels exactly like a Pop-Tart. Well, let's taste it, but yeah, even...
Consumers found the pastry to be too dry and the filling to be less flavorful than that of competitors. Nabisco struggled with branding and distribution, failing to build a loyal customer base. Additionally, Pop-Tart's stronghold on toaster pastries made it tough for Toastettes to gain traction. By the late 1970s, Nabisco quietly discontinued Toastettes, making them a forgotten footnote in the decade's toaster pastry wars. In 1986, Vol au Vent frozen kits promised a gourmet, ready-made pastry experience at home, allowing consumers to bake delicate puff pastry shells filled with savory ingredients. Marketed to busy cooks wanting elegant appetizers without the fuss, these kits initially attracted attention. However, the frozen pastry is often baked unevenly, resulting in soggy or undercooked textures. The fillings lacked freshness and depth.
And it kind of went okay, a bit sideways, and these are the best one. That's the one with the hat. I kind of preferred actually that technique. Some of the casing in the back have gone a bit sideways as well.
Leaning heavily on processed ingredients that diminished the upscale appeal. Moreover, preparation instructions were sometimes confusing, causing inconsistent results. Competition from freshly baked or frozen finger foods with more reliable quality pushed Vol au Vent kits off the shelves by the late 80s. Despite its sophisticated concept, the product failed to deliver a satisfying gourmet experience at convenience. Banquet introduced boil-and-bag meals in 1985, aiming to offer ultra-convenient, ready-to-eat dinners that could be heated directly in boiling water. This innovation targeted busy families seeking quick meal solutions without the mess of traditional cooking or microwaving. However, the meals suffered from uneven heating and soggy textures, with many consumers complaining about the plastic bags altering flavor. The packaging, while novel, was bulky and inconvenient to dispose of. Additionally, the meals lacked freshness and variety compared to emerging frozen dinner options.
Your own meals using your own ingredients, cottage pies, lasagnas, chili con carnes, anything like that where you can...
Despite aggressive marketing, Banquet's boil-and-bag concept failed to catch on widely, disappearing by the late 1980s. It remains a forgotten experiment in convenience food packaging innovation. In the 1970s, chiffon margarine entered the market as a light, fluffy alternative to traditional margarine and butter, promising a spreadable texture and healthier vegetable-based fats. It targeted health-conscious consumers seeking lower saturated fat options during a period when awareness of heart health was on the rise. While the concept was on trend, chiffon faced stiff...
Oh, so many margarines. But chiffon tastes good enough to fool Mother Nature. Tastes so sweet.
Competition from established margarine brands and consumer skepticism about the artificial ingredients in margarine. Its texture, although light, was sometimes perceived as too airy or insubstantial. Combined with limited flavor appeal and aggressive advertising by competitors, chiffon margarine struggled to gain a lasting foothold. By the late 1970s, it had largely disappeared from grocery shelves, a casualty of intense market rivalry and evolving tastes. Watergate salad became a curious culinary trend in the 1980s, combining pistachio pudding, canned pineapple, whipped topping, and marshmallows. Touted as an easy, sweet, and creamy dessert, its neon green color and mix of textures made it both eye-catching and polarizing. While it gained popularity at potlucks and family gatherings for its convenience and playful appearance,
Fight to see who can get to it first. Notice I buried that cherry in there because I want a bite of it.
many found its overly sweet, artificial flavor cloying. As the decade progressed and tastes began shifting toward fresher, less processed foods, Watergate salad lost its appeal. Today, it stands as a quirky relic of 1980s food culture, more nostalgic than appetizing. Crazy Cow cereal was a breakfast innovation introduced by General Mills in 1977. This cereal featured crispy corn puffs coated with a powdered drink mix, allowing the milk to transform into flavored chocolate or strawberry milk once poured over the cereal.
Look, it's called Crazy Cow, right? Now I'm no bovine expert, but aren't cows female? My understanding was always that cows are female.
The concept aimed to combine the enjoyment of flavored milk with the crunch of cereal. While the novelty appealed to some, the product was discontinued in the early 1980s due to limited market appeal and the novelty wearing off. Despite its brief presence, Crazy Cow cereal remains a nostalgic item for those who recall its distinctive approach to breakfast.